Welcome back to the Wind Up with Will. I'm your host, Will, here with another episode, and today we're going to be talking about the MLB season. Tomorrow is opening day. Super excited. As of recording this, opening day is tomorrow. By the time this video uploads, it will probably be in the middle of opening day tomorrow because my internet is slow. Meant to record this the other night, but I was very tired. So it's happening the night before opening day. Hopefully, this gets uploaded sometime tomorrow morning. But we'll see depending on how long this video goes. But I am excited today to give you my predictions for this upcoming MLB season. I've put some thought and effort into this. I hope that it is informative and gives you something to think about. Um, yeah, so let's go ahead and get into it. So I'm going to start off with going through who I think is going to win each division, as well as the wild card teams in each league. Maybe tell you a little bit about the teams. Maybe just tell you a little bit about the teams, maybe. And then I'm going to go into the seeding for the playoffs, my playoff predictions, my World Series winners, and then eventually the league award winners like MVP, Cy Young, Manager of the Year, that sort of thing. We're going to go through that, and maybe I'll do another video in a few days and go through who I think could win the Silver Sluggers and Gold Gloves. I just don't have time to do that in this video because the last few, excuse me, the last couple times I've done preview videos like this, especially for baseball, it goes on long enough. So I don't want to stretch the video out far enough where it's too long to watch and also takes too long to upload. So just going to try and make it as short as I can, and perhaps I'll upload another video. But let's go ahead and get into this one. We're going to go through the National League first. In the NL East, I have the Philadelphia Phillies winning this division. It hurts me as a New York Mets fan. As you can see, I'm a diehard New York Mets fan. I've got a Mets baseball up here. I've got a New York Mets Yeti here. I'm just, you can't see it, but over here I've got a Mets flag. Diehard Mets fan. There's probably half the shirts in that closet are Mets shirts. Absolutely diehard Mets fan. It pains me to do it, but I'm picking the Phillies to win the NL East. It is hard to pick against them. A lot of people are picking the Braves, but I really think the Phillies are probably the best team in this division. And I say that, had a little dust or something in here. I say that because the Phillies have a really good starting pitching. They have a really good lineup. And the one downside is that they're an aging team. They're getting up there. They're just an older team. They're one of the oldest teams in MLB in terms of age. You might not think it's old, but in terms of professional athletes, when you have a bunch of athletes in their 30s on one team, the team's considered a little older. And they've got a great pitching staff with Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola, Ranger Suarez, great pitching staff. And then they have great talent with Bryce Harper, JT Realmuto, Nicholas Castellanos, Trey Turner, Bryson Stott, Alec Boehm, Kyle Schwarber. They have a great lineup, and they've got a good manager in Rob Thompson. I really think that sorry, I got sidetracked there. I really think that they're the team to beat in the NL East. I think they're really deep. The one thing that they're going to run into is if they have injuries. Can they stand up on that? But it's going to be a tight race with the Mets and the Braves also in that division. And I wouldn't be surprised to see either the Mets or the Braves win. I think the Braves, are going to have issues and maybe they overcome this. Maybe I'm just wrong in this, but it seems like every year that the Braves pitching staff outperforms how I think they're going to, and maybe that's on me for just thinking that they're going to underperform. The Braves pitching staff always seems to do well. They lost Max Fried in the offseason. Spencer Strider's coming off Tommy John surgery, or it might not have been Tommy. He's coming off surgery. He's been out. They lost Charlie Moore. I think Charlie. Well, I'm not sure if Charlie Morton retired, but Chris Sale came off the Cy Young, but it was the first year in forever that he's been healthy. I think health is going to be a question for their pitching staff. The Mets is also going to be questions for their pitching staff. But both teams, the Mets and Braves, both have stacked lineups. They're good teams. They've got depth. They've got young players. It's going to be an all-out dogfight, three-way fight for the NL East between the Mets, Phillies, and Braves. But I'm picking the Phillies to win. I'm giving them the slight edge. They won it last year. And I think they just have the better pitching staff than the Braves and the Mets. So I'm picking the Phillies. In the NL Central is all of both Central divisions in the National League and the American League are just kind of wild cards. I think the National League is more of a wild card than any of the divisions, just because. Sorry, I hit the mic there. It just because the Brewers won it last year, but they lost arguably their best player, Willie Adames. Um, they traded away their closer, Devin Williams. The Cubs have improved a little bit, getting Kyle Tucker, kind of an MVP candidate. And before he got injured last year with the Astros, he was looked like having his best season, arguably an MVP season. I predicted him to win the MVP last year. If he doesn't get hurt, maybe he stays in that. Aaron Judge likely still wins it, but they're getting an MVP candidate in him. So, and they have the great manager in Craig Counsell. They've got good pitching. And they've got some good young players. I think the Cubs take the next step possible and win this division. I think the Brewers are they just don't have the offense. They lost their closer and Devin Williams. They lose Willie Adames. I think the Reds are an exciting up and coming team. Got a ton of young talent. Ellie De La Cruz could be an MVP candidate this year. He could keep them in the running. The Pittsburgh Pirates have one of the best exciting young pitching staffs in baseball with Paul Skeens, Mitch Keller, and they've got a guy coming up through the minors. His name I'm blanking on at the moment. But they've got a young prospect coming up that's going to be MLB ready soon. So they're a team that could keep in it with their pitching. The Cardinals are kind of on the down. They've seemed to be kind of in a rebuild, but anything's possible in this division. There really doesn't seem to be a runaway winner, but I'm picking the Cubs to win. I think they're the most improved team, especially with adding Kyle Tucker to their lineup. Now they do lose Cody Bellinger. If they had kept Cody Bellinger and had Kyle Tucker, I would say they're the clear favorites. But I would say trading Cody Bellinger away to the Yankees, I think they're the slight favorites. NL West, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say the Los Angeles Dodgers win this division. And I know that's a bold take, but I'm all jokes aside, they are the best team in baseball. They just won the World Series last year. They're the heavy favorites to win it again this year. And if anything, they made their team better. And adding Kirby Yates and Tanner Scott and re-signing Teoscar Hernandez, signing Michael Conforto, a former Met, who's a 20 home run hitter, adding him to their lineup, just for depth. Going out and getting the biggest international free agent on the market, Roki Sasaki. I hope I pronounced his name right. Out of Japan, the exciting young pitcher. I wanted the Mets to go after him. We didn't. They go out and get him. They get Tyler Glass now. This is a team that could easily, we could easily see break the wins in a season. The record for wins in a season is 116. It would not be shocking to see them get close to that. I think they won over 100. Well, they won what, 106 games last year, something around there. It would not be shocking to see them win over 110 games and push into that of, hey, they could maybe get the record. This is an absolutely stacked team. If they don't have a ton of injuries, this is the favorite to win the World Series. The wild card teams, I'm picking the Mets to get the first wild card spot. I think adding Juan Soto in the offseason makes the lineup extremely, extremely dangerous, bringing Pete Alonso back to hit behind him. However you shape the lineup out, you've got great hitters in terms of Francisco Lindor. Brandon Nimmo is a great on-base and contact hitter. You have Juan Soto now in the middle of that lineup, who is just absolutely phenomenal in hitting and his ability to read pitches and draw walks. You've got Pete Alonso, who's a threat for 40 home runs every year, and you got Mark Vientos, who looks like a budding star at third base. So the Mets have a really deep lineup. I think this is one of the more dangerous lineups in MLB. It's a little slept on because all the attention's on the Dodgers, and I understand that. But the Met and the Braves have a great lineup as well. But the Mets lineup, I think, is very deep and is a little underappreciated, and I think it's going to show that it can win games regardless of how dominant the starting pitching is this year. The Mets just need to have the starting pitching stay mostly healthy through the year. Not off to a great start with Sean Manaea, being starting the season on the injured list, and Francisco Alvarez also being on the injured list. My second wild card, I have the Atlanta Braves. I think they're going to have a good year. They're going to perform. I think they'll have more wins. The Mets and the Braves will have more wins than they did last year. Both of them are still going to be behind the Phillies, and playing each other, they're going to beat up on each other a little bit. The Braves, I think the question mark is going to be their health in terms of Ronald Acuna Jr. How is he coming back? How is their pitching staff staying healthy? Is Spencer Strider going to be healthy? Is Ozzy Albies going to stay healthy through the year? Is Austin Riley going to stay healthy? They had a ton of injuries last year. Can they keep their lineup healthy? Can they keep their pitching healthy? That's going to be the question for the Braves. And my third seed in the wild card, you could go several different ways with it. Really, I think there's really more two teams. It's really between the Padres and Diamondbacks for a lot of people. But you could throw the Reds in there. You could throw the Brewers, or you could throw the Cubs in there if you think the Brewers are going to win the division. But I really think that it's between the Diamondbacks and Padres. I think they're the two best teams outside the Dodgers in the West. I think that it's going to be the Diamondbacks. Them adding Corbin Burns in the offseason really makes their pitching staff better. If Merrill Kelly can stay healthy, I think Eduardo Rodriguez is their other starting pitcher. And then you have Zach Gallen at the front of that. Adding Corbin Burns, who's a Cy Young winner. He's finished top 5 in Cy Young the last, I think, 4 or 5 years in a row. Adding him to that, their pitching staff is going to be really good if Merrill Kelly can stay healthy. They've got a great pitching staff there. Corbin Carroll, I think, is going to have a bounce back year. He had a really big sophomore slump last year, but at the end of the season, he started hitting better. I think he's going to have a bounce back year and do just fine and perhaps be in the MVP conversation. The Diamondbacks are a really scary team, and I have them as the third wild card team. The National League is just absolutely stacked in terms of the teams and how good they are. Moving over to the AL. The AL East, I'm picking the Baltimore Orioles to win this division. They have a ton of young talent, and I really think, well, the Red Sox did massively improve. I have question marks if it's all going to come together in the first year for them to win a division. Is the pitching staff going to be what it is? Is the offense going to be good enough? Is Alex Bregman that big of a boost in the middle of the lineup? And they were teetering on being contending for a wild card team somewhat last year. So I think the Red Sox could be a pick, and I know a lot of people are picking them. I think the Orioles have a ton of young talent. They're getting Felix Bautista back, their star closer this year. I didn't pick him in fantasy because I was a little leery of him being injured last year. But if he is healthy, that is going to be a lockdown at the end of the game. They've got a great young lineup with Gunnar Henderson and Adley Rushman. They are going to be a great team. I'm picking them to win this division. I think the Yankees regressed losing Soto. Garrett Cole is now out for the year. I think he's having Tommy John surgery. So I think the Yankees regress. I think the Orioles win this division. The AL Central, kind of like the NL Central, is a little bit of a toss-up. The Tigers made the playoffs last year. The Royals made the playoffs. The Guardians were almost in the World Series. The Twins have some talent and have trying to been put it together for a few years now. The only team that is really not in that at all is the White Sox. They set the record for most losses in a season last year in the modern era for 121. Makes me as a Mets fan happy because we held the previous record, but we don't hold it anymore. It's the White Sox, so that's up to them to carry that for quite a while now. I think the White Sox are the only team that don't have a chance at winning the division, but I'm picking the Royals to win this division. I think Cole Reagans and Michael Wacha, and Seth Lugo, their starting pitching is really good. Bobby Witt Jr. is one of the best players in the game. Phenomenal shortstop. I think they make the next jump and move from being a playoff team to winning the division this year. I'm picking them to win the AL Central. The AL West, I'm picking the Texas Rangers to have a bounce back year. Their offense really declined last year. It really drug them down. They had injuries. Their starting pitching had injuries. But they're getting Jacob deGrom back this year if he can stay healthy. And he's talked about trying to throw not as hard so he can stay healthy. If they can have health from him and from Corey Seager and Marcus Semien, and their offense is likely going to bounce back this year. they had players underperform and some injuries. I think it's going to bounce back. They're going to win the division. I think the Astros have regressed, and I don't think the Angels or Athletics have done enough to be contenders. And the Mariners didn't add anyone in the offseason. So I really think this is between the Rangers and Astros to win this division. I give the Rangers the edge. I think healthy, I think they're going to be the better team than the Astros. My wild card teams for the AL, I'm picking the Yankees. Adding Max Friedman makes them still a good team. They still have Aaron Judge, one of the best players in the game. Um, they're the Bronx Bombers. They're going to spend money. They're in contention. They made the World Series last year. It's hard to pick against them, but I think losing Juan Soto and Garrett Cole is enough to knock them down into the wild card rather than division winners. Same with the Houston Astros. They trade away Kyle Tucker. They lose Alex Bregman in free agency. I think they have a regression. I think the Astros dynasty might be in its last days, from going from continuously almost every year being either in the World Series, winning the World Series, or in the ALCS. Last year they get knocked out in the first round. I just think that they are not the same team that they once were. But we'll see. But Jose Altuve is getting up there in age. They lose Bregman in the offseason. They trade away Kyle Tucker. I don't think that they're going to win the division, but I think they're good enough to make the playoffs and be a wild card team. And then I'm picking the third wild card team. I'm picking the Red Sox. I think they did a lot to improve this year. Getting Garrett Crochet from the White Sox is going to be a good starting pitcher for them. Jaron Duran looks like a budding star. They go out and sign Alex Bregman, have him at third. They got Rafael Devers, a guy who I think is a great, phenomenal player who never gets talked about enough. They're going to have him at second. I think they're an improved team. I think they're going to be contending for the playoffs. They were kind of in contention a little bit last year. I think they improve enough to be in the wild card conversation. I'm putting them in. Now we're going to go through the seeding real quick and how I think the playoffs shake out. In the NL, I have the Dodgers as the 1 seed, the Phillies as the 2 seed, Cubs as the 3 seed. Those are the 3 division winners. The Mets as the 4 seed is the top wild card team, Braves as the 5th seed, and Diamondbacks as the 6th seed. In the American League, I have the Orioles as the number 1 overall seed, Rangers as the 2 seed, I have the Royals as the 3 seed. Those are your 3 division winners. The Yankees at the 4 seed, Astros at 5, and Red Sox at 6. I should mention Garrett Crochet when he went to the Red Sox, he traded Sox from the White Sox to the Red Sox. You're probably not laughing, but anyway, I saw that in an article, so I thought it was. I've always kind of thought of that of players going between the White Sox and Red Sox. Let's move on to the playoffs. Let's start in the NL, the wild card series. I think the Diamondbacks facing the Cubs. I think they're going to win that. I have them winning 2-0. I think they're just going to be a deeper, better team overall than the Cubs. And then I have the Mets over the Braves 2-1. I think this will be a great wild card series. It's unfortunate that 2 really good teams like this meet in the first round. But I'm not going to go against my Mets. I'm picking them to win. In the National League Division Series, the Mets unfortunately run into the Dodgers with this seeding, and I have the Dodgers winning the series 3-2. Rematch of last year's NLCS. I'm picking the Dodgers to win. I just think they're a much better team, and it's unfortunate the Mets run into them this early on. And then I have the D-backs over the Phillies 3-2. I think they're just going to be an exciting young team coming out of the first round. They got good pitching. They've got good young talent hitting. And, kind of came with a bit of chip on their shoulders, the 6th seed. The last 3 years, and the 6th seed in the National League has made it to the NLCS. So why not again this year? I'm picking the Diamondbacks to beat the Phillies 3-2 and go to the NLCS. In the NLCS, I'm picking the Dodgers over the D-backs 4-2. Move on to the World Series for the 2nd year in a row. In the AL, in the American League Wild Card Series, I'm picking the Royals over the Red Sox 2-1. I think they're going to be the better overall team. Coming in with playoff experience prior this past season, and on top of that, I think they have the better pitching. I think that wins 2-1 Royals. Yankees over the Astros 2-1. Get a little bit of revenge for previous playoff losses to the Astros. They get their revenge and knock the Astros out early. The ALDS, I'm picking the Rangers over the Royals 3-1. I think the Rangers, if healthy, are just going to have a much better lineup. The pitching staff is going to be questionable, but their offense is going to be able to hit. I'm picking the Rangers over the Royals, and I'm picking the Orioles over the Yankees 3-2. I think it'll be a close series. This will be a great matchup in the ALDS. I'm picking the Orioles though. ALCS, I have Orioles over the Rangers 4-3. I think this will be a great series. Young talent from the Rangers, young talent from the Orioles, but I'm picking the Baltimore Orioles to go to the World Series and represent the American League. In the World Series, I'm picking the Dodgers over the Orioles. 4-2. The Los Angeles Dodgers repeat as World Series champs. First time we get a repeat champ since the Yankees won it 3 years in a row in 98, 99, and 2000. The Los Angeles Dodgers beat the Baltimore Orioles. That's my pick. Rematch of the World Series back in the 60s. And I'm picking World Series MVP of Shohei Ohtani, the best player in baseball, obviously. I'm picking him to win the World Series MVP. Freddie Freeman won it this last year, but I'm picking Shohei to win it this coming season. I really wish my Mets would win the World Series, and hopefully my predictions go wrong and the Mets do win. But that's what I'm predicting here, predicting the Dodgers to win. Now let's briefly go through the league awards, so we can get this video wrapped up and loading. It doesn't like to load that well once it gets into the 20-minute range. In the NL, my MVP, I'm picking Shohei Ohtani to win it for the second year in a row, fourth time overall. I just think he's the best player. He's going to try to be pitching again this year. We'll see how that goes. But if he hits like he did again last year, I think he's slam dunk for MVP. Now, some other players, I will mention some other players that I think will be in the running for these awards. I think in terms of MVP, I think Juan Soto, Francisco Lindor was runner-up last year. Um, I think those two guys on the Mets are in contention for this. Corbin Carroll for the Diamondbacks. And if Acuna comes back for the Braves, Ronald Acuna Jr. could be in the running for this as well. Bryce Harper possibly for the Phillies. There's a lot of different players you could have in this, but I think it's Shohei's to win it. It's Shohei's to lose, I should say. It's Shohei's to lose. Cy Young, I'm picking Paul Skeens. He won the NL Rookie of the Year last year. So exciting young pitcher, and if he had pitched more through the season, if he'd come up earlier, he probably wins the Cy Young last year as a rookie. So I'm picking him to win the Cy Young this coming season. I think some pitchers that are going to be in contention for that are Chris Sale, who won it last year with the Braves. Spencer Strider, if he comes back and is healthy, maybe he's in contention for it. He was a pick last year by a lot of people. Zach Wheeler's also in the running, and I wouldn't sleep too much on Corbin Burns. Possibly, he's someone I considered really heavily for winning this. He's done really well the last few years in finishing top 5 in Cy Young. So he could win it with the Diamondbacks. I wouldn't be surprised. Rookie of the Year, I'm picking Roki Sasaki, pitcher for the Los Angeles Dodgers. He's going to be an exciting young pitcher, great pitcher from Japan. That's outside of Juan Soto signing with the Mets. That's the big offseason move. I think he wins Rookie of the Year. Pitchers, it's always a little odd because you never know how well they're going to pitch or their innings, or if they get enough innings to have a good quantitative data to compare with a guy who plays every day. But I'm picking Roki Sasaki to win Rookie of the Year. Comeback Player of the Year in the National League, I'm picking Ronald Acuna Jr. If he's healthy, he's coming back off an ACL injury. If he's healthy, he can be a very dangerous player. We saw what he did just a few years ago, having a full year of recovery off of the ACL. We'll see how he is this year coming off of an ACL injury. Hopefully for the Braves, he can do well. I like to see players do well, even though I don't like the Braves. I don't want the Braves to do well, but I hope he comes back and is able to perform at a high level. And I think he will, and he will win Comeback Player of the Year. My Manager of the Year, I'm picking Craig Counsell with the Chicago Cubs. He's a great manager, and he's going to get the Cubbies back in the playoffs. So I think he's going to win it. Some other candidates for Manager of the Year, possibly Carlos Mendoza with the Mets. Terry Francona with the Reds is another popular pick by a lot of people. In the American League MVP, I'm picking Bobby Witt Jr. You could go several different ways at this, and a lot of people are picking Aaron Judge, and he could well win it again with his home run hitting abilities. But I'm picking Bobby Witt Jr. I think if the Royals win the division and he has a year like he did again last year, and Aaron Judge has a slightly regressed year because players tend to regress to the mean at some point, I think Bobby Witt wins the AL MVP. I think Aaron Judge is going to be in the running for this. Jordan Alvarez with the Red Sox. I'm blanking on Gunnar Henderson for the Orioles is also going to be in contention for this, but I'm picking Bobby Witt Jr. to win this. Cy Young in the American League, I'm picking his teammate Cole Reagans, another Kansas City Royal. I'm picking Cole Reagans to win the AL Cy Young. I think he did great last year. I think he takes another step this year to win a Cy Young. Seth Lugo, his teammate, could be in the running for this as well. Garrett Crochet of the Red Sox is another popular pick. Max Fried on the Yankees. And if Garrett Cole hadn't gotten hurt with the Yankees, he would probably be a popular pick or a possible candidate for Cy Young. Rookie of the Year, I'm picking Jackson Jobe, pitcher for the Tigers. He is, I think, the odds favorite at the moment. He's going to be starting. He's going to be on the opening day roster for the Tigers. There's some other players that are popular, in the Rookie of the Year odds. Actually, let me pull that up because I feel like I should mention those. I'm sorry I don't have those memorized. I'm not as familiar with some of the prospects. Um, Sorry, I got to pull this up here. Let's see. What we got here. Kobe Mayo is a pick for the Orioles. A lot of people are talking about in the American League. Roman Anthony for the Red Sox. There was another one for the Jason Dominguez for the Yankees. There was another one for the Red Sox. Where was he? Oh, this is not the article that I wanted. Is it this article, maybe? Might be this article. Yes, I think it's this article. Um, this is the one I read earlier. Uh, Kobe Mayo for the Orioles is another popular pick for people. Jason Dominguez of the Yankees. Jacob Wilson, shortstop for the Athletics. And then there was the Red Sox had a couple. They had um, a couple guys that are going to be coming up. So people have mentioned those. I'm picking Jackson Jobe. He's the favorite by some people. He's a right-handed pitcher for the Tigers. He's got some really good stuff from what I've heard, and he is the number 5 overall prospect in MLB. Comeback player of the year, I'm picking Jacob DeGrom of the Texas Rangers. If he is healthy, and hopefully he will be, he's going to be the best pitcher in the world like he was a few years ago, and he wins comeback player of the year. My manager of the year, I'm picking Matt Quattro of the Royals. Them winning the division, I think it gets him manager of the year. Bruce Bochy won it a couple years ago for the Rangers. Actually, blanking on who won it last year. I'm picking Matt Quattro of the Royals. And I should also mention some of the Rookie of the Year candidates in the National League before I forget to do that. Let's see. Dylan Cruz of the Nationals is a popular pick. He's the number 1 overall prospect in Major League Baseball. I didn't really want to go that route and pick 2 kind of favorites. And I think Roki Sasaki is going to be phenomenal with the Dodgers. He's going to get a lot of wins. Dylan Cruz is going to be, I think, the next candidate. And you got Matt Shaw, an infielder for the Cubs. Bubba Chandler, right-handed. That's the pitcher for the Pirates. Bubba Chandler. He is the number 15 overall prospect in MLB. Right-handed pitcher for the Pirates. A lot of people are picking him, but he is not on their opening day roster. He's probably going to be in the minors for a little bit, so that hurts his chances. But as I said earlier, I have Roki Sasaki winning the Rookie of the Year for the National League, and Jackson Jobe winning the Rookie of the Year for the American League pitcher for the Tigers. That's all I've got for this video. Those are my picks. Let me know your thoughts down below. Who do you think is going to win the World Series? Who wins MVP and Cy Young? Let me know down below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.